2023 Honda CR-V hybrid, top of the line from Ontario. It was made in Ontario, so why not get one from Ontario, right? He paid 48 Canadian dollars, so that's less than American dollars. All-wheel drive, and it's a hybrid. Now, if you're gonna buy one of these things, you got two choices now. Open the hood, I'll explain. And look, this isn't a cheapie. There's no little metal rod. It's got hydraulics on it. So, hey, it is a 2-liter Honda engine. It's the Atkinson cycle to get better gas mileage. And it's a hybrid, so it's got an electric motor and it's got a battery in the trunk. The choice for this is a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine. Something this big, 1.5 isn't enough, so of course they turbocharged it. Well, I don't like little turbocharged engines. They won't last as long. In the real world, they won't get the gas mileage they advertise now. It gets 40 miles a gallon in a city and 36 on the highway because it's a hybrid. It regenerates electricity. You can't really argue that. And these are real figures. This isn't some made-up crap. This is what he actually gets. And when you look inside, you can see it's got a lot of room. The fake leather seats, which of course will last longer. And for those who feel cramped with space, check it out. Look, it actually goes a little more than 90 degrees. You got a lot of room to get in and out of the back seat. It isn't one of these you're squeezing in to get in. Hey, don't even get me talking about this Polaris, man. Climbing in and out of this thing is a chore. And it doesn't even have doors. It's all-wheel drive. And from my experience with the Hondas and their hybrids, they're pretty much like Toyotas. They're extremely dependable. You take care of them, they can last an awful long time. Even though I'm not really a fan of hybrid because I keep my cars 20, 30, 40 years, and I know how much it costs to fix that stuff. I've got all the new equipment for working on them, and I know it costs a fortune. Something like this probably won't break down till it gets, I don't know, 150, 180, 200,000 miles or more. So you're happy with that. Yeah. But I'm happy with 3, 4, 500,000 miles. So I'm a cheapskate. So in that case, personally, I wouldn't buy this or its sister ship because it's a 1.5 turbo. I definitely would not buy a 1.5 turbo. It's going to wear out a lot faster. This engine is an Atkinson cycle. They put out actually less horsepower. That's why it needs the electric boost. But they can last a really long time. They don't have all this turbocharged rammed air that's going to wear them out faster like the 1.5-liter turbo does. So if you really are looking at longer life with this, you'd probably be better off getting a hybrid than getting a 1.5-liter turbo engine. Plus, in the real world, you're going to get a lot better gas mileage. Try finding something like this. It's just nice that gets 40 miles a gallon in town. Good luck. Now, they've been selling the heck out of CR-Vs for decades, right? It's number 2 in the United States to the RAV4, which is its main competitor. They both offer hybrids. You know, the only difference is the RAV4 offers an actual automatic transmission. But as this owner just told me, he's got a friend who's got a new RAV4 fancy multi-speed transmission. He didn't like driving it because it's doggy. And I gotta admit, it gets phenomenal gas mileage. We rented one in Death Valley. We got like 55 miles a gallon going 50 miles an hour. Park at a lower speed limit, so we went slower, right? So he got phenomenal gas mileage. But it did not have the acceleration this thing has because this does have a CVT transmission. All the hybrids I've ever seen have a CVT transmission, but it's an eCVT transmission. Now, if you want to just test it out yourself, you're thinking about buying one, hey, you can listen to me. I'll give you all the technical specs, but I am not your rear end sitting there and driving it. Road test them to see what you like, because the Honda CR-V that has the regular CVT and a 1.5 turbo gasoline engine, you're going to find out that this thing shifts a heck of a lot better than that one does. Because this has an eCVT and the other one just has a normal CVT. Honda doesn't offer automatic transmissions in those anymore. You know, if you want an automatic transmission, you'd have to go to a RAV4. Not the hybrid RAV4, because the hybrid is a CVT. It's an eCVT just like this thing is. Of course, it has all the modern conveniences, you know. You kick it and it opens. I kicked it and it stopped. We'll kick it again. And it's warning you. It's not as fast as me, but you know, and it's got the giant hydraulics because it's opening and closing itself. And you can see he's got the security flap there. I like that. And there's plenty of room for what you're carrying. And if you're not carrying a bunch of people, just like our Matrix, pop the seats down. You got tons of room for carrying stuff with. Let's see if it'll close now. It doesn't like me. Let's take it for a spin and see what this hybrid does. First thing I gotta say is the seats are ultra comfy. And they're gonna stay comfy because they're not leather, they're fake leather. Of course I have this, I'm not a fan, but it's got a push button. And it has an electric parking brake. Well, what can you do? Got a nice wide angle lens. Camera for the backup so you can see the lights matrix. It is a nice backup camera. Check it out. So we're gonna put it into sport mode. Tells you right there it's in sport mode. And you can hear the noise. Listen, the angels are with us. As you can see, it's got a really nice heads up display here. I like the gauges too. Not only do you have your speedometer on the right, but you also have it there. And he switched it over to miles per hour because he's driving the United States. And of course it has the 50 limit because you can see, okay, this thing goes to 220, right? No, it's not the only CR-V hybrid that does 220 miles an hour. That's 220 kilometers an hour. And it's brand new, everything's good in it. Now, these roads in Rhode Island, as I say, are terrible. And okay, you feel some of the bumps. It is an SUV, but it rides perfectly fine. On the flat road, it's totally smooth. When you get a somewhat high, somewhat boxy vehicle, you're always going to get a little rough riding when you get on really crappy roads. Now we're at the opening here, and there's nobody on the right, so we'll wait to the left, and here we go. Woo! Hey, it makes a nice sound too. Let me tell you, a lot of these are too quiet. Honda wasn't stupid. This has a dual exhaust on it, and it really makes a good sound. With the hybrid engine, got plenty of oomph. Now, you're not going to be getting 40 miles a gallon if you drive like I just did, but when you want to, you can. And being a Honda, you know, it's going to handle perfectly fine. They sell an awful lot of these CR-Vs. There's a lot of reasons why. Originally, Honda was way behind Toyota with hybrids. The Prius just blew them away. Honda couldn't give away their little hybrids. I remember seeing showroom floors full of them in Houston, and they put them in the lots. They couldn't sell them. But they pretty much caught up with Toyota now. Of course, it's whisper quiet when you're just going slow. And realize it's not a plug-in hybrid. It doesn't drive around miles and miles on the battery. It's a boost system that works quite well to get better gas mileage, and you can twirl around really slow for a little while on electricity, but you won't be going far or fast. Smooth ride, but when you want power, there it goes. And of course, it's got all the modern conveniences, lane departure, you can see the picture over there, all that stuff. I don't trust my life for any of them, but I mean, it comes in handy if you're not paying attention. So there you have it, a brand new CR-V, the hybrid version. Phenomenal gas mileage, nice zippy pickup. Certainly Honda dependability wasn't all that bad because that's 48,000 Canadian dollars, smooth ride, phenomenal gas mileage, lots of space. If you're looking for a hybrid SUV, I'd say road test this and road test the RAV4. And buy the one you like, because they're both well made, right? This is a bit zippier than the RAV4 is. Or you might be a Toyota fan, you want to get a Toyota. You know, you might want a Toyota automatic transmission, but from my experience, you're gonna pay a little bit more for the Toyota hybrid. They're really in demand, and around here, they're going for 5-10 grand over sticker, and he actually paid less than sticker for this. Maybe it's just the Canadians being nice, you know, and East Coast Americans not being so nice, but I mean, either way you look at it, this thing was made in Ontario, it stays in Ontario, and hey, I'm impressed. This thing was made in Ontario and it still runs forever, so what the heck? Honda's been making Hondas in Ohio forever, and they make great cars there. In the case of this hybrid, hey, it's brand new. I forecast good things for this vehicle. Yeah, it might not go 400,000 or 500,000 miles with the hybrid drive. You got to put a little money in it, but on the other hand, it's probably going to go hundreds of thousands of miles. All you're going to have to do is change the oil. This is a 2023 Honda HR-V. They are quite a bit lower priced than the actual RAV4s. Don't be fooled by their, in quotes, list prices. Go to a Toyota dealer, see what the drive-out price is, and you're going to be shocked. Last time somebody brought one over, they paid $47,500 for the thing. Two-wheel drive is perfectly fine for most people. You're going to pay a lot less money. You're going to get better gas mileage. You're going to have less maintenance. To me, why waste money on all-wheel drive? Especially if you live in a place like Florida, you're driving on the roads. Even people here in Rhode Island, most of them say, we don't even put snow tires on our cars anymore. They don't care, and they have got front-wheel drive. Don't poo-poo the front-wheel drive cars. And we'll pop the hood. It's got a nice interior. And it's got a screen that's good because it doesn't block the view at all. Got a nice sunroof. He's got it open today. He did a nice job. Back seats are all clean. You can tell he doesn't have any kids yet. Really nice gray metallic paint job. See, he did his research because he's an Eagle Scout and he's a Seminoles fan because he's going to school in Florida State. Now, the owner has one complaint. He says it's really slow. Now, consider this. His previous car was an Audi 2-liter turbo. Now, the Audi 2-liter turbos are very fast cars. But as he found out, they fall apart like a Chinese motorcycle. So he got rid of the Audi and got this, and a friend of his kept the Audi, and she just spent $8 grand on it, having it maintained and repaired. So this is a Honda. I guarantee you, he's not going to spend $8 grand on this. And if he bought another 8 Hondas, he probably wouldn't spend it. Now, this is a non-turbo. It's a natural aspirated engine, and it's a 2-liter engine. So why is he complaining about pickup? The Audi was a 2-liter engine too, but the Audi had a turbocharger on it, German technology. These 2-liter engines that Honda makes, yeah, it's a relatively heavy vehicle, right? You put this thing in a Civic, soup it up, zoom, zoom, zoom. But it's a bigger, heavier vehicle. But these 2-liter engines can last forever. I've seen them with 500,000 miles on them, and they were still running strong. And yeah, with 500,000 miles, maybe they burn a quart of oil every couple of thousand miles. Big deal, oil's cheap. Engines are expensive. And these things are well made. Just realize, no turbo, no extra pressure, engines will last longer. I mean, that's just a fact. To compare this with his previous Audi, Audi told them that it's normal to burn a quart of oil every 1,000 miles. When he had 60,000 miles on a car, it started burning oil. I mean, it's just bad quality. And a lot of them try to blame it on, well, by law, we have to use low friction compression rings on the pistons so they don't seal as well, and then they burn oil, blah, 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 blah. How come the Toyotas and Hondas don't burn oil then? They just know how to make them, where companies like Audi, Ford, GM, Chrysler, they have no idea how to make them, and they all burn oil when they get old. Now, we'll take it for a little spin. Nice little sound. We'll start her up. And we'll turn the radio off, even though they're singing about Nashville. From other houses, we'll close the sunroof so it'll be quiet. We'll see what it rides like. It does have electronic parking brake, but I mean, hey, they all do these days. Very nice widescreen backup camera. Nice. Relatively high up in the air, so we'll go over the big bump here. We don't have to slow down too much. And away we go. You got both a digital and an analog speedometer, so you can go either where you want. We're going over the bumpy roads here, and it's not bad. Now, it's a relatively short wheelbase vehicle, so you're going to feel some of the bumps, but hey, the struts are absorbing the shocks pretty well. Let's see what he's whining about lack of acceleration. You can see while we're waiting, it's got economy, snow. We'll put it on normal mode. Notice there isn't a sport mode. I guess they don't want you zooming around. We're going to be waiting a while. It's lunchtime. People are coming on the left. No, people are coming from the right. All right, it's going to be our chance to go. Here we go. Now, I don't call it horrible, but you compare this to an Audi with a dual clutch transmission and a 2-liter turbo, yeah, it's extremely slow. He was just used to the really fast one. Now, do realize this has a Honda CVT transmission in it. Now, Honda makes pretty good stuff. It's not like they break down, but truthfully, this transmission is not my cup of tea. I agree with the owner. It kind of makes the acceleration rather sluggish. We put it in low. Give it a little more zip, but still not a fan of this CVT. If you want zippiness, this isn't the vehicle for you. If you want transportation, it'll get you from here to there for a long time. This is probably a good bet for you. It's just got that kind of lag in. Here we go again, taking off. All right, right there. It just doesn't have the get up and go of a regular transmission that has gears in it. But it will get better gas mileage. And I mean, it gets 32 miles a gallon on a highway, which is good for an SUV. You just got the kind of lack of acceleration. I'd love to see something like a dual clutch transmission put in one of these. That would really give it some zip. But these are more or less transportation machines for people. So as the owner just said, and I agree, Honda didn't make this as a car enthusiast vehicle. They made it as a really good transportation device. Honda has plenty of zooming away cars you can buy. You get a Civic Type R if you want to be insane, you know. But they built this for people to get around in. 2-liter, non-turbo. The things will probably last forever. And if anybody goes back to their roots. How do you think the Japanese sold us a bunch of cars? By making cars that were incrementally better over each year, so they didn't break. And as he said, I got sick of fixing all my cars that broke all the time, so he got this, and he made a wise decision. This thing isn't going to break down. Now, he is in Florida, so he's probably only about 5 feet above sea level. Another hurricane comes, it may float away, but it's probably not going to break down. They all look the same. This doesn't look much different than the Mazda or the Toyota or even a small Mercedes. Now, they all look the same, and if they're made with Honda quality, hey, don't waste your money on all-wheel drive. Get a front-wheel drive one like this. Hey, it'll get you where you're going for a really long time. And really, Honda's been building those 2-liter engines for a long time. Any day, I would rather have a 2-liter Honda engine than a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine, because I know they won't last as long. Yeah, they're faster and yeah. But for my money, the best engines Honda ever made were 2-liter inline 4s. Just like I say with Toyota. Their best engine, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm a cheapskate, was their 1.8 inlines. I had a 1.8 inline in my Corolla SR5 hatchback. I had a 1.8 liter in my 94 Celica. I got a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder in my wife's Matrix. That's Toyota's bread and butter for things that are going to last a long time. And the 2 liters in Hondas, hey, you can't go wrong if you want something that's going to last a really long time with very little maintenance. A guy brought me a Honda 2-liter a month ago. He bought it used for $2 grand. It had almost 200,000 miles on it. The thing ran almost like a brand new vehicle because it didn't have a turbo. It had the Honda 2-liter engines. These things can run forever. And in the case of this, the guy didn't make a compromise like the guy with the Mazda did. That, gee, I would have liked the RAV4, but they cost so much more. 15 grand more. I'll get this Mazda CX-5 instead, right? The only compromise he made was speed. And he's getting older and wiser. So he's realizing, maybe I don't need all that speed anymore. I'll go for comfort, nice looking car that can get good gas mileage, last a long time. And all you gotta basically do is change the oil and filter every 5,000 miles. Okay, we got an almost new 2022 Honda Civic. What do you get for what you pay? They've sold millions and millions of these things. Now the dealer kind of took advantage of them. They had them for about $4 grand more than what the list was. He paid $24,040 out the door. That includes $1,095 destination, which to me is BS. And it says 40 miles a gallon. He just got 40 miles a gallon driving here from Kansas, so it's not lying. As you can see right here, it is 2-liter. It's naturally aspirated. It does not have a turbo, but it does have a CVT transmission, and the owner says now he's used to it. But I haven't seen any problems with them yet. I'm not really a CVT fan, but everyone's going to them. 40 miles a gallon on the highway for a zippy little car like that, you really can't argue. It does have a minor oil leak, and you can see, that's what I hate about modern cars. See this goop here? Guess what that is? It's silicone sealer. Well, they're gonna have to replace that free. They didn't put the silicone sealer on right. That's the problem with silicone sealer. You put it on, you tighten them on, a lot of it comes out, sometimes too much comes out. It's got a tiny drip, nothing outrageous, but to have a new vehicle like this and have it leaking like that, that's something that you used to never see in Hondas. They used to have gaskets. They'd last years and years and years. This thing's only a year old now, and it's got a little bit of a leak. More an annoyance than anything else. But it kind of shows that Honda's quality, maybe it isn't what it used to be. Now, this particular one was made in Canada, as you can see right here, and right here. It came from Elliston, Ontario. And you can see the transmission indeed was made in Mexico. So let's hope that CVT lasts. I haven't seen problems yet, but you never know. Push button start. Now, yes, it does have the electronic parking brake. I hate these things, but they're all going to it. And the transmission, as you can see, they do pretend there's gears. It doesn't have any gears. It's a CVT transmission. You can do it economic if you want to get better gas mileage, and you have the little green tree, and then otherwise it is normal if you push it to normal. First thing you're going to notice, smooth as can be. No shaky. Now, granted, this baby's new. You know, it's only got 12,261 miles on it. And I do have to say the cloth seats are immensely comfortable. For a Civic, a lot of leg room in the back. You can see he's got all this junk coming from Kansas. He did run over a rake on a highway that fell off a truck. He had to have the front tires replaced. You can't blame the vehicle on that. We'll see how it handles in the highway if that created any problems. Now, he wanted the base model, so as you can see, those are hubcaps. There's steel wheels there. He likes steel wheels. So really, they kind of hit him for an awful lot, 24 for a base model one. Now, the backup camera works pretty good. It's kind of like the Toyota, though. It's kind of out of place. It doesn't fit the rest of the car. I would have liked the dash integrated one instead of this sticking out, but what can you do? Now, let's see what the CVT can do. Still feels relatively zippy. And as we corner, it's a Honda. It's got pretty good cornering, doesn't oversteer or understeer. We'll give it a little gas. And it takes off quite well, I do have to say. Now, it's not as fast as a regular geared transmission because it doesn't have any gears inside. So when you stop on it, you don't get the gear shift that you get in a normal car. And it does, once you get going a little bit faster, tend to over rev. A lot of these CVTs, they just over rev when they're taking off. See, it revs real high. You wouldn't get that in a geared transmission. But then again, in a geared transmission, you're not going to be getting 40 miles a gallon driving around either. Take it out to the countryside here. Nobody's coming. Here we go. We're headed to our little drag strip. Okay, there's nobody behind us. Look around, nobody. Here we go to the drag strip and go. Not overwhelming. You see it did a fake shift there. Now, it does take off decently, but at very high RPMs. That's the problem with the CVT transmissions. They're not really geared for fast takeoff. They're more for gas mileage. Now, let's see. We're going 46, 45. Let's see what happens in passing gear. We'll hit it. You see it revs high, and it takes off. You get going zippy enough. It's not bad. I personally would prefer an actual geared transmission. Not necessarily a manual shifter, but one that had regular gears. But this is what Honda's gone to it, just like Toyota. You can only get a Corolla now with a CVT. You can't get one with an actual automatic transmission. You can still get a Toyota Camry with a 8-speed transmission, and you can get a regular RAV4 non-hybrid with an 8-speed transmission. But with the Civics and with Toyota Corollas, CVTs, that's pretty much all there is if you're buying a new car. And I do have to say, this Tri is better than the earlier Hondas. Has a lot more acceleration, I'm not going to argue that, and gets really good gas mileage. I'm personally just not a fan. It's a fun little car to drive in the twisties, though, I do have to say. And as lightweight as these Civics are, the braking systems are more than adequate for any kind of driving you're going to run into. Smooth as silk idling, you can see the engine's still running. It's just smooth. You feel like the engine's not even running. And here we go again, taking off. Give it a little gas. It actually makes a lot more noise than it does acceleration. That's why I don't like CVT transmissions. I'm a driver, and I like a serious driving car. I just don't like this high revving slippage. It's not for me. You can see me driving like a maniac because gas mileage has gone from 40 miles a gallon to 36.7 miles, and I've only driven about 1.5 miles so far. So you can make the gas mileage go down if you drive like a maniac, even with a CVT transmission. Just have the lane departure. See, now it's saying lane departure. It's warning me. It's made the steering wheel shake to warn me. So that system's working pretty good. And it does have the speed limit too. Long, boring light. Here, up, there it goes. At least we got a green arrow. And here we go on a little curvy road. Does make a lot of noise going, but it goes. And like I said, it's a nice handling car. I just personally would like it to have actual gears. It would be a much more enjoyable and accelerating driving experience than the CV transmission that basically makes the engine rev too high and makes a lot of noise. So there's a possible problem. This baby's transmission was made in Mexico. Always makes me kind of wonder. I gotta say, road noise is about average for a small sedan. I'd say that it's about the same sound as a Toyota Corolla. My son's Toyota Corolla sounds about the same bit of loudness. Now really, this 2022 Honda Civic goes a long way from the original Honda Civic. I worked on them and drove them. But my question is, has it really gone far enough for all those years and changes that have gone on? Basically, I'd say the transmission is a step backwards myself. So what do I think of this 2022 Civic? Well, let me tell you. Okay, $24,000. It's a lower priced car. I don't like the CVT transmission. And the owner, he's not happy that it not only doesn't even have an oil warning light, it doesn't have a temperature gauge either. They're kind of cheapening up. Now, Nissan did that 20 years ago in some of their cheap cars. They got rid of the temperature gauge, they got rid of the oil, and some of the Nissans, they even got rid of the turn signal indicators inside the car. Because I rented one once, and I'm putting them on, I'm like, these stupid turn signals don't work. And then I go outside, well, they're working outside, and then I realize there's nothing inside to tell you. You just have to listen to the clickety-click-click. And to top it all off, that Nissan only had one backup light on it. It had one backup light instead of two. I guess legally you can get away with that, right? But, I mean, it's a beautiful car. It handles fine. I would personally just wish that it had some other kind of transmission in it. Because one, I don't like CVTs. And I would personally be very suspect that those things were made in Mexico. I don't trust things made in Mexico. I don't mind them putting it together. Right? It's fine. You get a Toyota Tacoma and they bolt it together in Mexico. But I have second thoughts about that myself. Now, we'll see over time how this thing holds up for him. You know, it's a Civic. It'll probably be pretty good and last a long time. I just don't like that transmission. You compare it to the Corolla transmission that has the launch gear and then a CVT, that's another story. Those things take off like gangbusters. Then they go from a regular gear to the CVT once they're out of first gear. I don't mind those CVT transmissions, but this is a straight CVT transmission. I just don't like the way it feels. If you're the type of person who wants a standard transportation device, you're not racing anybody, you'll probably be like him. You'll get used to it, and what the heck? You're getting 40 miles a gallon on the highway, get you where you're going, you don't care. But me, I'm more of a driver, and I like gears, right? I'd rather have manual transmission, but my wife doesn't like that, so we got automatics. But all our automatics, at least so far, have actual gears in them. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.